To make an informed decision about the best cartridge for your needs, we should have a look at 3 things: what makes up a cartridge, how they work, and why they sound different from each other. There's a lot of good information available online, but it can often be biased or through the lens of personal preference and varied budgets. It's also worth mentioning that your phono stage will have specific voltage and impedance requirements. You should check these first to ensure your new cartridge will work with your existing equipment. Let's start at the stylus. The stylus is sometimes referred to as the needle, and it's the part that makes a physical connection with the grooves cut into a record. The stylus is typically made up of diamond or sapphire. Both should sound very similar, but diamond should last a little bit longer before wearing out. You'll sometimes see the phrase nude stylus. This means the entire stylus up to the cantilever is made of the same material. Again, usually diamond or sapphire. A bonded stylus will use a diamond just at the tip, and then it's glued to a cheaper material. This part is called the shank. In either a nude or bonded stylus, only the tip touches the record, but some people feel that the bonded material will add weight and interrupt the transfer of energy from the tip through to the magnet. Once we've chosen the material for our stylus, we need to look at the shape. We have a few options, but I'm going to focus on the 2 most common. They are a conical stylus and an elliptical stylus. A conical stylus is cylindrical with a rounded tip, but the groove of a record is a V-shape. This means that a conical stylus is touching the groove's edges, but not the bottom. This can mean slightly less detail in the extreme high frequencies, though they're typically more durable with less wear and tear on the record. They're also much more forgiving on imperfect sounds and are less sensitive to alignment issues or dust in the grooves. This might be perfect for someone who's listening to a lot of older records, or if you have a record player that doesn't allow a very fine level of calibration. The other popular option is an elliptical stylus. These are oval shaped at the tip, so they can reach deeper into the grooves of a record. The advantage is more accurate response to small changes. This can mean a more accurate high frequency response, but it will also more accurately reproduce dust and scratches. To get the most out of your elliptical stylus, you need to keep your records clean and your players carefully calibrated. If you are someone who likes to spend time setting up, calibrating, and caring for your system, an elliptical stylus is probably the best option for you. There are other shapes such as hyperelliptical and microline, where the point gets even finer, which can result in more detail, but calibration becomes even more important. Some people also feel that a very fine point on a diamond stylus will damage the records over time. Now that we've chosen our stylus material and shape, we can move on to the cantilever. If you weren't looking closely, you might think the cantilever and stylus were the same thing, but here we can see the cantilever is what physically couples the stylus to the magnet or coil. In between the two is the pivot, where the cantilever balances. The cantilever can be made of several different types of materials. I would suggest avoiding any cartridges that use plastic. Aluminium is a popular choice in entry-level cartridges. Boron and beryllium are lightweight and rigid materials that are often found in higher-end cartridges, and some top-of-the-line cartridges will use ruby or diamond for the cantilever construction. Essentially, the more lightweight and the more rigid the material is, the more accurately it can transfer vibrations, meaning it retains as much detail as possible from the stylus. Another consideration is the resonant frequency of the material. Something like plastic is going to resonate in the audible frequency range and have a dramatic effect on the tonal balance of the program material. Before choosing a cartridge, you need to know if your record player is designed to use a ceramic cartridge or a moving magnet or moving coil cartridge. We'll get into the physical differences in a moment. It's essential to know which one you need, as ceramic cartridges are not interchangeable with moving magnet or moving coil cartridges, as they typically have higher output voltages and different impedance values. Ceramic cartridges are often used in cheaper suitcase-style record players, where efficiency, portability, and convenience are more important than fidelity. The name's also slightly misleading. Piezoelectric or crystal cartridges might be more appropriate. It's made of a material that generates a voltage when deformed. This is connected physically via the cantilever to the stylus, and as the stylus physically connects with the grooves, that movement is transferred up the cantilever and physically deforms the material, generating a voltage. This typically requires much more force than moving a magnet or coil, and can't respond as quickly to small changes in the groove. The result is usually described as a lack of detail in the high frequencies and overpronounced low frequencies. Moving magnet cartridges balance a magnet on the end of the cantilever that moves with vibrations caused by the stylus. As the magnet moves past a coil of wire, the coil generates an alternating current that can be sent to a preamplifier. A moving coil cartridge works exactly the same way, except the coil moves and the magnet is fixed. This is exactly the same principle behind most speaker drivers and many of the microphones used in studios today. The advantage to a moving coil over a moving magnet is the coil is lighter than the magnet, so it's easier to move, meaning we can hear more detail. However, it typically generates a lower output voltage, so it's not compatible with all preamp models. That's a lot of information. Let's recap the important parts so we can choose a cartridge for our record player. First, what's the stylus made from and what shape is it? Personally, I don't mind as much what the material is, but I know I want an elliptical stylus. I keep my records clean, and I take the time to set up and calibrate my player. Especially when I'm in the studio, it's important I'm able to accurately reference material, so I need to hear all of the detail. Finally, do we need a ceramic, moving magnet, or moving coil cartridge? At my studio, I'm running from my phono preamp into a line level mixer that doesn't have a lot of gain, so I've chosen a moving magnet. It's got plenty of detail, especially with an elliptical stylus, and importantly for me, it integrates into my existing setup without having to make changes that will impact my work. There's lots more information available online, and there'll be people who strongly feel that other factors like cartridge weight and tracking force are more important than some of the factors I've mentioned here. I would suggest looking at the technical requirements of your player and phono stage, and then take your favorite record to your local hi-fi retailer and have a listen for yourself. At the end of the day, the sound reaching your ears is more important than any specific material in your cartridge. You might also find that the higher end cartridges start to become worthwhile if you're pairing it with a high-end system. Talk to your local retailer and have a listen for yourself.